One, in Nigeria, a man cannot be raped. A woman is considered as a victim of rape by definitions under criminal code and penal code, okay? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ibukun. It's great to have you here. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome. If you're new, hello. I hope you find the content here interesting. I hope you subscribe and I hope you learn something new. On this channel, I share about law and matters relating to law. I would also be introducing fun segments that have movie reviews of Nigerian movies that have legal scenes. I would also be interviewing other lawyers and sharing my travel experience with you. So if this sounds like something that interests you, consider subscribing and joining the family. Now, I want to start by laying a disclaimer that even though I am a lawyer in Nigeria, I am not a personal lawyer to you, and so the information that I share is information that is good for you, but you should also seek legal advice that is personal to you. Today's topic is one that is very sensitive and one that I am quite passionate about sharing because it is recently in the news and on social media, even though it's something that has been going on and goes on in the world generally. In Nigeria, it is something that the government has declared a state of emergency on, and this is rape. It's quite something that is touchy to talk about because for the victims, it changes their lives forever, and for the perpetrators, it is something that is so grave you honestly cannot think about why it will be done. But I wanted to help someone out there with information that hopefully would help you or someone that you know get the help that you need or help you decide on what next steps you should take. Let's start today's topic by defining what rape is under the Nigerian law. Now, this definition is important because there is the court of public opinion. If you go on Twitter, on Instagram, if you go on blogs, you would understand that there is what the people think and believe and what they want to enforce. And so we have, for example, the recent case of D'banj and Shaitan. There's a call for his endorsements to be stripped and for him to be blacklisted. That is the court of public opinion. They have decided that this is what they believe and this is the sentence that should be passed. But in a court of law, you're going to need to have a legislation that should bring your case under. And so if there's no law in Nigeria that says you have raped someone, well, unfortunately, there's nothing the courts of the law can do. So for us personally as a country, we have the criminal code in the southern part of Nigeria and we have the penal code in the northern part of Nigeria in states that do not have Sharia law. So in states that have Sharia law, the Sharia law is the law that governs them. But in the states that do not have, then the penal code regulates what they define as a crime. Under the criminal code, which applies in Lagos and states in the western part and southern part of Nigeria, what the law says is rape is unlawful carnal knowledge of a woman without her consent, or that this consent was received but it was gotten by threats, by intimidation, by force, or by deceit. The penal code in the north defines rape as a man having sexual intercourse with a woman who is not his wife, who has not given consent, or the consent that has been gotten was gotten by fraud, by intimidation, or by other means that are not legal. And so this is what the law says is rape. Now, this might seem a little broad and vague, and this is what the legislators at the time could consider. What are the things that jump at us first? Number one, in Nigeria, a man cannot be raped. A woman is considered as a victim of rape by definitions under criminal code and penal code, okay? So unfortunately, that's what they say, and they are the more broadly enforced laws at the moment. In 2020, this is what we have. We hope it will change. The Supreme Court and other courts, so we have the High Court, we have the Magistrate Courts, the High Courts, the Federal High Courts, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court. There are some other courts at the lower levels, but these courts decide cases. So most of the cases are brought in the High Court and then appealed to the Court of Appeal and then the Supreme Court. What the courts have said about the criminal code and penal code are things we'll get into as the video proceeds. So we have defined what rape is. Now, what do we need to show the courts to say, I have been raped and this person needs to go and serve the sentence that the law prescribes? Under the criminal code, the punishment is life imprisonment with or without a fine. And under the penal code, it is life imprisonment or a lesser sentence. It says with or without caning, and I think a fine is also allowed to be imposed. The things that we need to show, however, have been laid out by the courts. So the Supreme Court has decided on cases, and they are the final authority on what the law is or what they interpret the law to be. And so there are 5 things that the court says you have to show if you are claiming that you have been raped and you need the court to be on your side. The first thing is that there was sexual intercourse, that the man had sex with you, that this intercourse was without your consent, and if the consent was received, that there was fraud involved, that there was threats involved, there was fear for your life, there was intimidation or use of anything that could have made that consent invalid. The other thing that has to be proved is that you're not married to this person. So under the criminal code and penal code, if you're married to a man, he cannot have raped you. You also have to prove that the accused person had the intention to commit that act of rape, and in the absence of that the person acted recklessly in having sex with you. And the most important, as the courts have said in many cases, is that there must be penetration. So we're going to look into these a little closer to help you decide and to help you know what it is you need to be trying to put together to have a strong case. You need to have a strong case. The thing about criminal law is that it will prefer that people who are guilty walk away than putting one innocent person in jail. And so the court is very careful. The prosecution, which is the lawyers that are going to push your case out, need to have their evidence strong. Please realize this. Evidence is king in criminal prosecutions. Evidence is king. You don't have the evidence, we can't help you. It's not that the law does not want to help you, but the law is careful not to put the wrong person in the wrong situation. And so this is such a touchy topic, and I understand the outrage when you think that I have been abused and you're telling me that I can do nothing. Understand the mind and the concept behind what the law practice is. This is where the court of public opinion can be powerful. It can also be misleading because then you're not careful enough to do investigations, and unfortunately there might be a false claim. So these are the things that we should have at the back of our minds when considering this particular sensitive and honestly, it's it's not such an easy topic to talk about, but somebody out there, I hope, is going to be helped a lot by the information in this video. So you want to prove that the person had sex with you. It could get a little technical, but what you should think about doing is getting yourself a medical check right after. Once the act happens, I know that the victim, or you, if you're the victim, want to wash away this horrible, horrendous act. But you have to keep the evidence. If there was semen in you, if his DNA, because he came in contact with you, if he tore your clothes, you want to keep that and go straight to a care center, that is the civil societies that deal in rape cases. You want to go to a general hospital. They're the best because their report is held highly, not because they are the only ones that can do it, but then again, a clinic closest to you or a doctor in your environment that can produce a medical report. You need to get yourself there immediately. There are also other things you need to think about in terms of infections and why you don't want to keep this to yourself. It is so difficult. I can only imagine. But this is so key. This is the evidence. This is going to help your case. Even if you don't have the strength to prosecute it now, it's going to help you when you're ready. Yes, the first thing you want to do is prove that there was sex. So keep your outfits that were torn, take pictures. If you could hit the record button on an audio, a video, anything you can do. But if you are helpless and at the time, just get yourself to a police station, a hospital, or a facility that deals in this type of situation. Get help immediately. Please get help immediately. The second thing you want to prove is that you did not give your consent, and this is for situations where it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, it's people that you know one-on-one. It's a lot harder for you to say that, oh, there was no consent. So you want to prove there was no consent, or that the person lied to you, or the person did something that made you to be in a position that you couldn't have said yes. So even if there was no struggle, even if you submitted willingly, you have to prove that there was something. I'll give an example of an armed robbery. Your consent was not there. Even if you cannot show that there was force, there couldn't have been consent because there was fear of your life being taken or injury being inflicted on you. So that is something that you're going to have to prove, and you should think about putting forward when you're building your case, or when you're helping someone build a case. The third thing is that you're not married to this person. Unfortunately, that's just the law for now. So yes, that has to be proved. You also have to prove that the person had the intention. So it's called mens rea in law. It's like the mental state. So I have to have thought out an act, and this is what I wanted to do. It applies to almost all criminal cases. You have to have the mental, or the inner intention to commit that crime. So the person wanted to have sex with you without your consent. We have to prove that. And this can be really easy to prove, especially if there's the struggle, there's the lack of consent. This can be really easy to prove that this person acted in such a way that his mental state is, in this case, because the law doesn't, recognize female. That's why I'm saying his mental state. We also have to prove penetration. Penetration, the law has said, is the slightest entrance of the male organ into the female organ. The slightest, meaning that this person doesn't have to ejaculate, this person need not release semen, this person need not have full penetration. And if you think about it in practical terms, this is where you maybe have your hymen and the person can break through. If it can be proved that there was some entry, that was rape. So it's not like, oh, her hymen is still there. No, you already did the act. You already committed the offense. Or I just put it in a little. And this happens especially if, the person is being funny or changing his mind in the middle of it. You already got in, you've already penetrated. So it's not like it wasn't for all those funny excuses that can come up. If you can just prove. And now I want to talk about how you prove this. How do we prove penetration? This again is so delicate. The evidence is the fact that most people are going to wash off their bodies because they're afraid of an infection, they're just traumatized. Don't do any of these things. As you are, get tested, because if somebody goes into you even the slightest, there will be DNA that you can get if you go right to the hospital. So you want to do this at the soonest possible time. You want to get this DNA. If there was semen, fantastic. These things will be collected during the medical examination. It's tricky because in Nigeria we don't have that many medical centers in close proximity. But try your best to get to the nearest one to you, and I'm hoping that they're able to collect the evidence that is necessary to show that there was. So the doctor is supposed to check the female organ and see if there was tampering. This can be tricky because what if I already washed up? What if there were no bruises? This is such a tricky topic. But penetration has to be shown. The slightest, the littlest, as long as you can show. So if you go immediately, there might be signs that this person did something. So if a little of his DNA is on you, great. So these are the 5 things that have to be shown to prove a rape crime, and it's important that you know about them. This is what the law in Nigeria currently says. Now, that being said, there is a law that is recent and has changed what the definition of rape is to be more encompassing. It brings it into what really obtains in the present world we live in. It's the Violence Against Persons Act 2015. The National Assembly passed this law, and the president in 2015 signed it into law. The first thing I want to say about this law is, before you get too excited, is it can only be enforced in the High Court in Abuja, the FCT. That's what the law says. That's the thing. It's provided in it. I'm not certain why they limited the law to that extent, but that's what it says. What is expected is that the states would domesticate it. Domesticate it means replicate it and pass it. So the various houses are supposed to have similar laws and then pass them so that those states can also enforce that law. But this has only been done in Oyo State, Ebonyi State, and Anambra State. As at the time that I had the information, it's possible that more states have domesticated, although it's also to be known that a lot of states have it in process to do this, so that the whole of Nigeria will be able to make use of the new provisions and prosecute rape cases. Now, this law, like I said, is modern. It talks about rape in broader terms. A man can be raped, a woman can be raped. Rape can be with the sexual organ, or it can be with an item, because there are people who can be so that they use things to molest a person. And so you can be raped even if, because penetration was just the male organ and the female organ and it has to go in. But if you don't use your organ but you use something else, as long as you're going into the other person's genitalia, then you have committed the offense of rape under this particular act, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. So it prohibits violence against persons. Now, it doesn't limit it to just women. Now, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 defines rape. I'm going to read it. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing. It says that a person commits the offense of rape if he or she intentionally penetrates the vagina, anus, or mouth of another person with any part of his or her body or anything else. I love this. This is broader. This compasses the things that happen. It says that the other person does not consent to the penetration. It is rape. It says that the consent is obtained by force or by means of threat or intimidation of any kind, or by fear or harm, or by means of false fraudulent representation of the nature of the act or use of substance. That's another thing. Or the use of any substance or additive capable of taking away the will of such person, or in the case of a married person, impersonating his or her spouse. Now this is so vital. The elements that are added, do you understand? It covers broader terms. So if you're in the FCT, you have a law that protects you. You can prove your case easier. I haven't seen any reported cases. If you have any of those, leave them in the comment section. I would love to look into it. Any case that has been prosecuted under this law, because it will give us such a robust jurisprudence to prosecute cases. And there are all these excuses that come up and limit you in pushing your case out are cut off. But like I said, a few states have it, and the law hasn't. I haven't seen any cases. There will be in Abuja in the High Court, because it was passed in 2015. This is 5 years after. So there definitely will have been cases brought under it, but they haven't gotten to the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court, or I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to update. I'm going to actually dedicate a video to this particular law. It has 48 sections. Beautiful, beautiful things that it covers. It covers domestic violence. It covers both male and female. And so there are a lot of benefits that if you are in the FCT, this law is good. If you feel like you're in danger, there are many things that it covers. You know, your spouse is abusive to you, it's covered. But I don't want to deviate from the topic. Now we're talking about rape, and we've talked about what is the definition under the Criminal Code and the Penal Code. We've talked about the definition under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015. We've talked about the 5 elements in criminal law in Nigeria that you have to show for your case to be successful. And I've said that evidence, evidence, evidence. Criminal law requires evidence. I understand the outrage that goes on in the world when cases are lost, or you see sentences that you don't approve of. Again, it's the law. It's because we have to have written down rules, and we have to have an order that we follow, that these things are, it's for your own good. It doesn't always feel that way, but the truth is it's for your own good. You don't want to be on the other end where you're being falsely accused of a crime, and you have no way to protect yourself because you're just presumed to be guilty. I hope that this information has helped. I hope that we find justice for the victims of rape. If you're a victim, I empathize with you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I hope you find the strength to get the evidence you need and prosecute your case. Report the case. Report cases. We have so many cases that go unreported. Report the case. I know that the justice system might seem like it fails. I know that the police might seem like they're not helpful, but you'll be surprised that your case is the one that finds some headway. Do you understand me? So report the cases. Be bold. Find your voice. I hope you find your voice. And also to the people that are in power, if you can and you do have a say, encourage your state houses to domesticate the law so that more people can have access to justice, because there are people that do have good cases but the evidence doesn't help them. So if there's anal sex, then guess what? I don't have a rape case, but I was raped. If I'm a man, boys are being raped, men are being raped. We hear these things. we can do better, and I hope that we do. This is 2020. I'm hoping that in the nearest future we have better laws, better enforcement, and justice for the victims of rape. I say no to rape. I stand with the victims of rape, and I know that we have a society that can be better and can be held to high standards. My name is Ibukun. I hope you enjoyed the content of this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone, subscribe. I need the subscribers. Encourage me. If you have topics you want me to talk about, please let me know in the comment section. Let's talk in the comment section. I want to learn. I want to talk to you. I want to answer your questions. This was quite emotional, but I'm glad that I was able to get the video to you. See you in my next video.